so I can put you on spotlight. I lost track of you. There's so many screens. Once I see you, I'll turn off the music. I can't find you. Oh, there he is. Okay. Can you unmute yourself?
Okay.
Okay, give me a minute here. I found you. All right. Hey, guys. Welcome. Good to see so many faces. Let me find the screen here. I'm losing. I can't get back up the screen.
No more.
There we go. I think. Hey guys, welcome. Happy Tuesday. So just a couple of things before we get started. Just a little Zoom tip for you new people. If you click speaker view, it's going to allow you to just see the speaker. So when Art's speaking, you'll just see him versus the gallery view when it gets really distracting, seeing all the different screens because there's several. So if you click speaker view, that will help you. Everybody starts out muted until later when we open it up. There's so many great faces. Just welcome to everybody. We're glad you're here. And Art and the crew are coming from the Kent House Rebuild Recovery Program. And they're all there tonight. And we're looking forward to a good time. So are you guys ready over there?
We are. We are.
Absolutely. All right. Let me put you on spotlight and we'll be ready to roll here right now. All right, we're good to go.
Are we there?
Hey guys, we're there.
Am I on a delay or something, or does the internet seem good?
It seems good to me so far.
Okay.
Is that Cameron to your left?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, hey, okay, very good.
Over there.
All right, people are still rolling in too, so I'll let everybody in as they come in, but we're ready for you to go ahead and start. So, hey.
Are you sure? Who's rolling in?
Dimitri just came on. A lot of people are still rolling on. I know that there's a delay with Zoom with these waiting rooms, so there's a bit of a delay, but as soon as I see them pop up, I let them in. So I think people continue to roll on, but we're good.
I see a lot of people that got a picture of themselves up on the screen, and they all kind of look like high school pictures.
Yeah, I know they have their videos off, and so we can't see their live face. Darn.
Yeah. It looks like
there's Celeste. There, that's better. Celeste, we like to see you live. That's great.
Yes.
But you know, these might be people at home in their jammies, so they don't want to show. That's okay.
Yeah, we all showered and got dressed for this.
Yes, this is our big night of the week, so we get ready for this.
Yeah. I put on my good shorts and my I took something else besides a Battlefield shirt tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. You look nice.
I think the last time I asked a question in school, I think was probably 8 years old. I remember going along in school, and then about like 8 was kind of the mandatory age where you would have to know everything. Where if you started asking after 8 years old, if you started asking questions, you got teased, or I remember there was always a kid that kept the conversation going when we wanted to go to recess and they asked a question. So we used to ridicule them or do whatever we could to them. But I think that as Americans or whatever it is, maybe it wasn't for everybody, but for me it was. For me, it was just kind of the case that we needed to know the answer. And that was just the way it went. So I just started going along and I knew everything. And even if I didn't know anything, I just knew it. And that kind of moved on until college. And then, college, I would just wait. I wouldn't ask the professor. I would just try to find somebody that would tell me the answer after class or let me cheat or do something like that. So I think that there just predominantly was this thing in life that that the person that was the good person was the person that knew the answer. And the people that say, I don't know, and the people that ask questions were kind of ridiculed. And that's kind of been a major theme that I didn't do anything wrong. So one of the themes seems to be in my life that I did it right, even if it screwed up. And if I screwed up, well, it wasn't my fault. I didn't do it right. I even have kind of carried that into this house. So, you know, going back to where this whole thing started here about 3 weeks ago with these kids, we started with just kind of a manual attempt at presence. So each kid was trying to do their own attempt at presence through the breath, through awareness. And then we moved into last week and we began to discuss living in our story or living in our life or living our life. And living our life was this idea that we would be in the moment and living a life that was free of future and free of past, and how difficult that is. And then for the most part, we're living over here in our story. Going back to this week or going forward to this week, we're kind of moving forward into this thing that what would cause us to not live our life and what would cause us to live in our story. And I think that a lot of it happens because as we move forward in life, our story is there and we're trying to improve it. But life has this great way through many different venues, many different portals to tell us that we're not good enough and to tell us that we need to be better. And I think that what we've kind of talked about here in this house this week is just this idea that life is constantly telling us that we need to be better. And now when you mix that with this idea that we've had to have the answer and had to be right our whole life or we don't look good. And so now life has a way of telling us that we need to be better. And then we have a way of fighting back to life and telling life that it needs to be better, or telling life that it's wrong. And the way we do this, the way we tell life that it's wrong, is that we complain. And so our complaints as human beings are kind of what we do when we're saying life is wrong, it's not me. And I gotta be completely honest with this, because this has been the 60 most difficult days of my entire life. I've quit heroin and had nothing on this. Actually, the most 90 different days of my life, the last 90 days of my life have been the most difficult days. And life has this great way of telling me that I need to be better. And it comes through people, and it comes through the people that don't like me and the people that have things to say about me. And it comes through financial loss, and it comes through losing of businesses, or whatever it could be that would indicate to me that I must be better. And when I get to this point, so I have a kind of a thing to do. I have to either say, yes, I agree, life, I must get better. And I think that agreement that when life is put down upon us and telling us that we need to get better, whether it comes in form of people. And by the way, anyone who has told me that I need to get better through their hatred or through any way, and not in a snide way, I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to be snarky here or anything. What I'm saying is thank you. Thank you for your concern, or thank you for your hatred. Thank you for whatever it did that's going to make my life better, that I'm going to actually have to look at myself. And I think this idea that life is telling us constantly every day to get better, and us agreeing with life is the kind of the definition of humility, to say that I agree. I constantly agree. And this other thing of thing that we do when life tells us to get better and we disagree is we use self-righteousness to relieve ourselves of the pain. And we just continue down this road of life is wrong or the people are wrong. And I think this thing is happening for me that, you know, at the same time humility shows up, the same time forgiveness shows up. And I think forgiveness and humility kind of arrive simultaneously. I think that if we have enough humility to say, here it is, we almost have enough humility to forgive. But, you know, if we have to be right and we have to continue down this anger and hatred and what it is, and the humility never shows up, well, then the forgiveness never shows up. And for me, this beautiful thing is happening where it's just coming into my heart. I don't know if I have forgiveness for people, and I don't know if I've gotten forgiveness, or if I am forgiving or whatever, but I know that I agree with life. I know that there's been some mistakes, and I know that I can improve. And I think that I think that that's the definition of humility. And it's also the definition of something that we talked about a long time in this thing that kind of got used against us. And it was this idea that we get authentic about our own inauthenticities. And that idea just, it doesn't mean we're authentic. It didn't say that. It doesn't say, I am authentic, you should be too. It doesn't say, look at me, I'm the most authentic human being that's ever been. It says we are getting authentic about how fake we are. We are actually having the humility to say, and it's not really even fake. It's saying to the world, it's saying, look, I have many different angles of me. And maybe you haven't seen all of them. And maybe you haven't seen them because I'm very scared to show them to you. And maybe you don't know who I am because you haven't seen all these angles, and I only show this angle to certain people and this angle to another person. And I don't just go around as a transparent hologram that everyone can see a 360-degree angle around. And so when we talk about being authentic with our inauthenticities, what we're saying is absolutely, I'm a fraud. Absolutely, my life is about, when I'm in my story, the suffering comes when I don't look good. When I don't look good, there is suffering. Try to suffer from something else. If you're suffering, it's because you feel you don't look good in the story. If you look great in the story, you will not suffer. So this idea that I say, okay, fine, I'm a fraud, I admit it, because in my story, I'm constantly not concerned with much else except looking good. And if anybody needs me to admit that, I will, and it's true. And so to get authentic about the fact that we're in our story being frauds, trying to look good to the whole world, I don't know how anybody can disagree with me that that's what we do as human beings. We want to look good. We do. And the idea that somebody says, I don't care about how I look, that's what we're talking about is worse than where we're at now. To say that, to not have the humility to say, hey, that's not one of my concerns is looking good. It is. We're concerned with how we look as parents. We're concerned with how we look at work. We're concerned with how we look as family members. We're concerned with how we look when somebody's dying and how we treat them. We're concerned with how we look. So I'm very keen on the fact that we can get authentic about the fact that we're fake. And we're fake because most of our motivation is to look good. And that's what we said the whole way along. We never said, hey, look at us, we're not fake. We said, look at us, we're trying to look at how fake we are. We're just trying to look at how fake we are. Then the other thing that shows up in this thing, that when life shows up, and the other words that kept getting thrown around that were used against us were integrity. So I want to address what integrity means. Integrity means integration. It means as a human being to be integrated. It means as a human being, integrity, in our definition, you might have another one of your own, but the definition we use is called whole and complete. One. Integrity means one. It means that the way that you see me is the same no matter what angle you're looking at. And the work of integration is a lifetime. It didn't say, we've won the Super Bowl already, you should learn how to have integrity like we do. It said, no, we are doing the work of integration. And it didn't say, hey, we're not fake. It said, no, we're doing the work at looking at how fake we are. So these two things come up when you begin to go forward in life and you begin to see what happens when life tells you to get better. See, that's right at that point is where you have an opportunity. So for me, let's say, we're around here with the kids and on several occasions this week, I've heard Shelly yell, who did this? She yelled one time, she yelled, who did this? It was about who unloaded the dishwasher and put dirty dishes. Now, I'm pretty sure I did it. I mean, I'm almost 100% that it was me. And then I just kind of let the kids take the fall. You know, I let her figure out who it was. Another time, I opened the ruffles. Kaylee, you're going to be shocked.
It was you. Oh my God.
I opened the ruffles from the bottom of the bag, not the top. The top says ruffles. I opened from the bottom of the bag, and then the ruffles were pulled out of the cupboard, and somebody pulled from the top and spilled the ruffles out of the bottom of the bag. And I asked, who the hell would do something like this? And it was me.
Wow. It was you who pulled them out.
But going back to this 8-year-old art, going back to how we all are, when life tells us we need to get better, when life tells us we don't have the answers, what we do is we argue. because we don't want to look bad. And so even me, even now, and initially when this whole thing in my life took off, when the difficulties began, it was like the teacher was saying, I didn't have the answer. And I was arguing and saying, yes, I did. I know the answer. I'm not wrong. I know what to do. And I think over the time, what starts end up happening is that we see that once humility kind of shows up and you go, oh, okay, I didn't have any of the answers. That was all that happened there. I didn't have the answers. I made mistakes. At that same time, we can forgive, and forgiveness can show up. And it's this mutual thing when we're trying to get to this place of forgiveness, this mutual thing where both parties kind of are humbled by maybe one side. And that's the only way it can arrive in the middle at some kind of meeting again, is where everyone can kind of humble themselves and say, I didn't have the answers. And I think that it's so difficult for us when this is the most difficult things that I see these kids having problem in the program, that I see me having a problem with. So then you go forward and you say, we're going forward in this thing. And when we're trying to make a difference in our life, especially in early recovery, when these kids are trying to make a difference, it's dominating, because they're told they don't have the answer about everything. And the truth is, life's right. And that's hard. The truth is, they don't have the answer about anything. And the truth is, they don't know how to live. And the truth is, they don't know how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich properly. You know, they might make a good peanut butter and jelly and sandwich. They might make a great peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but they don't know how to complete it and get the knife in the dishwasher and make it in the right slot and do it all perfectly, which not many of us do, but especially these kids. And for me at 37, it was the same way. And it's so hard to acknowledge for these kids that life is asking them to get better. What they really want to do is tell me the program needs to get better. They want to improve the program. And that's just been the case with all the treatment, not this group of kids. This group of kids is actually doing phenomenal with this. And to say every day with humility, no matter what the source is, you know, that's the other thing that we want to do is, as human beings in America, we only want to be told we need to be better by people that we absolutely 100% respect and trust. And if anybody else tells us that tells us we need to do better, we actually just find reasons to disagree and then point out how they're a failure. And so that's the humility that has to show up in this early recovery process, to say, hey, listen, I probably don't know how to make my bed or clean a mirror in the bathroom or scrub a floor properly or vacuum properly or clean out a cat box or whatever the work it is. And by the way, you know, that's the relearning of this. In my life has told me from so many different directions that I need to improve. And it's so cool to be back here and try to find the humility to do it and try to say, you know, here it is. I get it. I need to improve. I get it. It's overwhelming and it's dominating, you know, but the other alternative is this, where we lose. So to be integrated, to be whole and complete, what you all see with your kids as addicts, what you see, what I will say is test your level of integrity by one thing. How much do you complain? And so if you go to your boss and you look at him and he gives you feedback and tells you need to improve, do you smile and say, thank you, sir, and do the improvement, or do you complain? Because see, you probably smiled at your boss and said, thank you, sir, I'll work on that, and then went out on the break room and bitched about your boss. And that is the lack of integrity that we all have, that everyone had. You probably went to your kid and you didn't tell him and show him who you are, but rather accept that kid who's doing drugs in your house, accept them and let them say whatever they say to you, and then went and didn't fight back, quit fighting, didn't do anything, and then you go complain to somebody else about your kid. And this is the lack of integrity that we're talking about. We're not talking about morality. We're not talking about not even talking about honesty. We're not talking about anything else, but like, this is the angle of me that you see. And when you walk in from behind me, do you ever walk into a person that you don't know talking? Or am I the same person in front of you always? Can you see that? And I'm not here to say that that's me, that I'm 100% integrated. I'm always the same guy. I'm saying there's angles of me that I don't necessarily feel obligated to show other people. And there's also angles of me that when life shows up and I don't succeed and I have a difficult time with life telling me to get better, I go complain. And then I smile and be inauthentic. And that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about integrity in the form of power in our relationships. Power with your boss means you never complain about your boss. If you complain about your boss, you have lost power with your boss. Because when you walk back in the room, you're hoping that somebody didn't tell on you for complaining about your boss. You're worried and you're two-faced. And that's just what we do. We're all that. And so integrity just is what we lose when life tells us we need to change and we don't agree. We lose our integrity. We walk towards life. It tells us we need to change. We say, bullshit, that person needs to change. They're the asshole, or that's the problem. And we turn the other way. Integrity means I'm going to be the same, and I'm just going to look at life, and I'm going to agree that I need to get better, and I'm going to ram right through it. And I'm not going to sit. If I'm in a relationship with any of these kids in this house, my duty, my obligation is to push forward and make a difference in the relationship. Now, if it doesn't go my way, there's nobody to see about that. I don't get to go talk about Kaylee to somebody else and complain about her. Because if I did, she wouldn't respect me and there'd be no integrity there. And she wouldn't actually say, hey, Art's trying to make a difference in our relationship. She found and walked in on me complaining about her. She wouldn't understand. And so integrity just means in our relationships. Now, also, I'm not saying that I don't do it. Because when I go forward in that relationship and it is difficult and it's hard to make a difference and I can't, yes, sometimes I lose my integrity and go complain. Then we restore it. And that's what we're speaking of here. We're not talking about perfection. We're talking about the work. And the work means a lifetime, and it doesn't mean I did it last year. And so this work of being authentic with our own fraudulence, it says authentic, it says honest about our fraudulence. That I don't understand how people, and we've had that used against us as if we were stating that we were just the most honest, perfect people in the world. But the statement, God damn it, it says I'm honest that I'm fake. What else can I say? What else can we do? But you want to say that's a problem? And integrity was saying simply, I'm doing the work of integration. I am not one angle. I am not one person. I have many different angles, and maybe I'm too shy to show them to you. Maybe I'm too scared to show you who I am. And maybe if I get rid of my fears and insecurities, I can show you who I am exactly to everybody, and I can live as one. And that's the work. That's just the start of the work. That's what we're saying. So to have, and this is what these kids are going to have to start doing. And it doesn't mean they need to be the 8-year-old with the answer. It means you need to have the humility to say, hey, there's life. It's telling me to get better. I need to be more honest about what a fake I am. I need to be more humbled by life. I need to be working on the integration of me. I need to be able to be complete and powerful with my mother and my father. And I need to not complain about my mother and father. I got to quit complaining about my mother and make a difference in the relationship. And only through the work of my integrity do I stop that process. Do I stop the process of losing my power and complaining and being victimized by my mother? But rather, if I start gaining integrity with my mother and father, I can look at them and tell them what my problem is with them. And I can be open and honest. And I don't have to see anybody else about the relationship with my mother and father. I don't have to see anybody else about the relationship with my boss. So this work that we're doing here, it's the work. It's not the completion. To be held to say that we don't do the work, one thing. To say that we're fake, that's another thing. And they're both way out of line because all we said was, here's the work. Let's go ahead and take a look at, and the humility to say, hey, listen, I'm about looking good. Are you? If anybody gets on here and tells me they don't want to look good, I will challenge you. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to look good. I don't get it. So if you come here and tell me you don't care what people think about you and you don't care what you look like, I disagree, because you wore pants today. And that would be insane to get up if you didn't care what people thought about you and wear pants. That's stupid. It would be insane to look in the mirror and comb your hair if you don't care what people think about you. Why would you comb your hair? Why would you shave? Why would you not shave? Why would you get up if you don't care what people think about you? Why would you get up? Be difficult. What would be the motivation? Connection with people, caring what people think about us. The authenticity to say, yes, that's where I get authentic, to say, I will and tell you authentically, I care about how inauthentic I am, and I'm working on it. And that's the work that they're starting here. And so when they go to their boss and they get that first job, I just pray and hope that when that boss tells them they ain't good enough, they'll just agree with their boss. They will just agree. Can you imagine somebody just agreeing with their boss that they're not good enough? Their actual boss that they told in the interview that they will do anything he says and actually learn from him. And they said, please, boss, I'll take the job. I want to learn. I want to be mentored. I don't have any of the answers, but I'm looking for the answers. And then the boss tells them to get better. And the first day they disagree. They say, absolutely not. This guy's an asshole. And they go complain about him. Let's not do that. Let's have the power to move forward with that relationship. Look their boss in the eye. And that's another thing that integrity is about. Looking people in the eye. And when I think that I just got done talking and gossiping about somebody until I go tell them that I just got done talking and gossiping about them, I can't look them in the eye. And so I have to restore my integrity and say, listen, I've just got done talking a bunch of shit about you. So before we start this conversation, let me tell you what I just said. And that's the restoration of integrity. So here we're working on these things, and it's come back because this is the time in their program when they're going to have to look at what causes a lack of presence and what happens when we're trying to live outside of our story, but our story keeps pulling us back. And our story will pull us back because we don't look good in it. You know, it's easy to be present when you think you look good. Easy to walk along the beach and look at the sunset when you're looking good. Easy to just be present and play a little round of golf when you look good. But try to play golf, try to walk on the beach, try to do anything when the world doesn't think you look good right now and the world's telling you to get better. Try that. And it's difficult and you'll have to sit there with it. And then I hope that you can do the work of trying to handle bigger and bigger situations. So as you handle bigger things, life will tell you in bigger ways that you need to improve, and you'll complain less about the little things. But trust me, the big things of life telling you need to improve will come up, and pain will be inflicted on you, and you'll have no choice but to complain a little bit because you won't just be able to sit with it. So you might have to complain a little bit, then you might have to sit with some of it. You might have to eat half the meal and leave the other half for later. And you sit with the pain, you absorb it. And sometimes complaining is our only valve, but it's not good for everything. We need to get bigger than complaining about our chores. We need to get bigger than complaining about how people speak to us on a daily basis. We need to get bigger about, what it is we can handle so that you're prepared for these big things in life to come. And then that's when you'll lose your integrity again. But there's no need to lose your integrity over what somebody says at the grocery store. You can just leave that situation where it is at and stay present. And so it's come up. I didn't use to be authentic about our, that this is a work of Werner Erhard, by the way, if you need to check a source. Werner Erhard started the work of being authentic about our own authenticities. And what he said is human beings are about looking good and not being conned. And only when you admit that that's what we're about, do you even make progress about it. So if you can admit that your life might be made up of trying to look good and try not to get the short end of the stick and trying not to get conned. And if you can admit that, you might be able to start the work. But if you won't admit that, then you won't even know that you don't know that. And that's what Werner said. And that's where we took that from. And we began to pick that up. And he also said integrity is whole and complete. See, I know integrity doesn't have anything with morality and honesty. It doesn't have anything to do with those things, because a wheel can have integrity. A chair can have integrity. A table can have integrity. So how can a table have integrity and have anything to do with morality? A shirt has integrity until you wash it too many times, and then you can rip it real easy because it doesn't have any integrity. So integrity is not about that in our version. Its integrity is about being whole and complete, looking people in the eye, being as one as you can, but never getting to the point of one, but just working on it. And with the humility to acknowledge when you lost it, the humility to acknowledge I've lost my integrity. I am complaining about people. I am gossiping. I am two-faced right now. And I can say I've been all those things recently because the pain has been great and I didn't know another ventilation system. I didn't have another way but to complain about the people that have been dominating me. And so it goes and it comes back, and then the pain goes away, and we can get to a place of humility and say, I just didn't have the answers of how to deal with this problem. And as I move forward, I'll try to do better. And maybe at the same time of this thing shows up of humility, then we can forgive. But notice that you can't get to that place of forgiveness until humility shows up. Just notice that, because we just stay too right to get there. If we're just too right to get to that place of humility, then forgiveness can't come in. And I think one of the greatest things is forgiveness. I think it's a great feeling. It's such relief. It's like, for me, so that's the work. I don't always get too deep with these kids or give them everything that we're given, but I'm trying to keep at their speed and help them out here. And but this is what they're dealing with today. So what they're dealing with today is just what I dealt with a few years ago and have been dealing with for years, is this idea that life has so many avenues to tell you you're not good enough. And then you just have two options. You can either agree with life or complain. And that's kind of the complaining, just life. How much can we take? How much can we take of life telling us that we need to improve before we have to complain? That's kind of the formula. I can take a little bit. I can take it up until noon, but by 1 o'clock, I'm tired of life telling me I need to change. And so I just need to either take a nap or yell at somebody. And that's just kind of what they're dealing with. I'm back dealing with it in my life. And I don't know how remarkable this is that I could be starting over my life in this kind of venue with these kids that are starting their recovery life, because it's phenomenal me trying to relearn everything that I'm actually teaching. And it is a relearning of, trying not to be that kid at 8 years old that I one time challenged little Brendan. He was going to school. He was 14 years old, so he was going to the 8th grade, I assume. And I asked him to go to school that day, and it's school. So I asked him to go to school. I asked him to go to his school, and he went to school. And I said, I challenge you to find one kid that asks a question at your school today. And he came home after a full day of school and told me nobody asked a question. And I find it remarkable that we have gotten to a place like that, where we have to have the people that have the answers are the right people. And the people that have the questions are the stupid people. And, as I've gone on in this thing, the only thing that I think has made me smarter is my ability to know I don't have any of the answers anymore. So the more I know I don't have the answers, the smarter I get. And I think we need to start that fairly early on with people. And then it's the answers about everything. Too bad to admit, too difficult to admit that I don't know how to load a dishwasher properly. Too difficult to admit that I don't know how to do laundry properly. Is it too difficult to admit that I don't know how to vacuum? I used the example with these kids. I said, imagine how much we think we know about cleaning a bathroom. And then just take that knowledge and just do with what you want. But then just imagine what it would look like for the person that cleans the bathroom at the White House. Like how much more they know about a simple topic like cleaning the bathroom. And we just say, I know how to do it. And we argue with anyone when they tell us we don't. And so every topic is that way. I can say, I know how to drive, except if I took a 2-minute drive with Jeff Gordon, then I don't. And you can say, I know a lot about addiction until I meet somebody with 30 years of experience compared to my 9. I can say, I know a lot about buying houses. I've bought 4. Okay, well, somebody's bought 400. So there's literally no topic that we have the answers in. And it's having this idea that I can have this idea that maybe I could just, I don't know, be authentic about that, whatever comes about with that. And so, but that's the key, and that's the theme of our week here, is that life is going to tell us we don't have the answers. Life's going to tell us constantly that we don't. And if it's not telling you that you don't have the answers, and if it's not telling you that you need to improve, you're probably living the same way every day. And you're probably living in a way that just repeats itself constantly. And you probably haven't challenged yourself enough. And I'm very thankful that life has challenged me and reminded me, because I got pretty comfortable that I thought I knew everything, and it was pretty good for a while there. But I'm very, very grateful to everybody that's told me I need to improve, and I'm not being a smart ass. I'm serious. Thank you. And I'm very, very grateful for life knocking me down to starting over at my parents' house and being here after 10 years. I couldn't have more gratitude for it. And it's beautiful. So I hope you can get an idea of the work we're doing, and I hope you can ask questions about that. And also, please, back to the basics. If you got questions about addiction, we are an addiction organization at the core. So we do understand the issue. Maybe just the philosophical points of the issue. We don't understand it all, or we'd solve it. But, we do understand it in some depths. So go ahead, Ange.
Okay. All right. That was beautiful, Art. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is when we open up and thoughts, questions on the topic, basics, like he said. There's some new folks on, might have some questions about Rebuild Recovery program you've got going on there. So it'd be good for us to touch on that a bit for those who weren't here last week. And the way that you let me know that you have something to say is there is a raise your hand feature, and you can just raise your hand feature on the screen and you'll be in line. But sometimes people can't figure out the feature, and that's fine. You can unmute yourself, you can wave your hands, get my attention, however we need to do it. We will find you. And we'd love to hear from you guys. There's a lot of familiar faces and there's some new faces too. Eileen, hey, I'm trying to unmute you. And then next will be Angela Bottaluco from West Virginia. So Eileen, line gang, yay.
So I was hoping we could kind of go over something that came up last week. And I have my notes here.
Okay.
Because I really thought about it all week, because at first I'll tell you what I was thinking about. So you had mentioned addiction is a solution to a problem. And I think you said for parents, obsessing on somebody with an addiction is also a solution to a problem.
That's right.
And it's just, of course, my first thought was, well, what problem did I have before that came into our life, before addiction hit? And I really put a lot of thought into it over the week. And so where I concluded, I think for me, my problem before addiction even hit or came into our life was that I was completely ill-equipped to calmly handle any situation that was out of my control that affected me. Because I have come to realize through this group that and others told me, but it finally hit me through this group that I was a very controlling person.
Mm.
And people would tell me that, and my husband would tell me that, and I never believed him. No,
Yeah.
I'm not controlling you. But finally, after, Aaron became clean, and we were at IKEA one time. I was with my family. Aaron was there with us, and we were going to be meeting somebody for dinner. And you know how crazy IKEA gets. It should have been a beautiful moment, but I was so worried about making sure we got to where we were going on time, and that people weren't getting lost, and this one wasn't going to have a cigarette. And I realized, oh my God, I'm a controlling person.
Yeah.
So is that what you were thinking? Is that what you meant when you said that, there, as parents, we probably also had, or I also had a problem, and that this addiction was part of my solution?
Well, I think it comes in, first of all, I want to say that I really appreciate that question, because it's exactly what I aspire for in this kind of forum, to be able to put some kind of spark in your mind that allows you to think about it throughout the week, and to come back and articulate what you're saying after having thought about it. I really, really, I cannot find a different beautiful way of this working. And the answer is, I don't know. Let's say, how many different ways can somebody's addiction become somebody else's solution and dealing with it? I don't know. Maybe there's folks that have and yours is spot on. Absolutely, that could be true. That this was life showing you that you needed to improve in the department of control and neediness, or whatever you want to call it, and giving you that lesson. So yes, that could be true. It also could be true that maybe people are in a bad marriage. And when addiction shows up, it's their solution to have some common ground to constantly talk about their kid, and to rather focus on their kid rather than that marriage. It also becomes somebody's identity. There's a whole webpage called The Addict's Mother. There's not a webpage called The Tow Truck Driver's Mother. There isn't. There's not even a webpage called The Accountant's Mother. There's not a webpage called any other thing except Addict's Mom. So how does that become an identity? And then I need Eileen back on. Can I get her back on? Eileen, top. Say hi.
Hi.
Okay. I think it becomes an identity. It becomes a lifelong character plot, or a lifelong plot in our story. See, once it becomes a plot in our story, then there can be also the solution for heroism. So that can be, what do people need that, not knocking feeding the homeless. Okay, I'm not, please don't. I am, but I'm not.
Don't send hate mail.
but seriously, what do people need that feed the homeless? What do they need? If I dedicate my life to feeding the homeless, I need homeless.
Yeah.
I need people to be homeless so that I can feed them. That's a pretty bad system. That my thing, it's me. See, how does it become? Addiction becomes my solution. What do I need? Well, I need it to go on, or I don't have a job. You see? So when a problem persists in any way, any problem that's persisting, what's usually happened is that problem is turned into a solution. DUIs in Washington State. How many people is DUIs a solution for? How many judges? How many lawyers? How many tow truck drivers? How many blow and go companies? How many judges or what? There's too much of a solution. That problem is a solution for too many people for it to go away. How many people would be broke if people don't get DUIs anymore? You see? So what ends up happening is this thing where problems become a solution, but the problem doesn't go away. So what's going on? Now, you're absolutely right in your assessment. I think it was probably for you, control was the problem. But see, and that's the other thing I try to see. It always is this idea that like addiction shows up in a family, and then people become codependent on the addict. That's always seems like that's what people are talking about. But I think it's reversed. I think codependency shows up and it can create addiction. Because see, before drugs take away a kid's pain, mom was doing it or dad was doing it. Somebody was taking their pain away and making it so they didn't have to face life when it told them they needed to get better. So when life told them to get better, they said, no, I disagree, mom, help. And then mom said, well, I'll go yell at the teacher. I'll go yell at whoever is trying to make you get better. I'll go fight and get you a lawyer and get you off the hook or whatever.
I relate to all that. I so relate to all that with my son.
You see,
Saving him from the pain.
yeah, we just didn't want to see him in pain. So we bought him the ice cream. We didn't let him cry. We picked him up and dusted him off and didn't let him feel the pain. We yelled at anyone who yelled at our kids. And then addiction showed up to take away the pain. And then here we are.
Well, and I know that once addiction, was part of our life, for me, I know now that I was part of the problem and became so involved in it that I was contributing, probably worse than anybody, to the problem when I look back. I wasn't only contributing to my own child.
How did saving Aaron make you feel?
Towards the end, I did it just so I could stop thinking about it for a while.
It gave you relief.
Yeah. No,
You see? That's drug addiction right there.
Yeah.
You see, and that's why you getting that relief became your solution.
Mm-hmm.
It became your solution. That's it.
Yeah.
So saving becomes our relief. We just want it to stop.
Yes.
I got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful
Thank
question.
you.
Yes, thank you, Eileen. And can I just acknowledge for a moment that Erin is actually on. There's Erin, her son. 3 or 4 years clean now, Erin is. And he tunes in every week, even though they live separately. I love it. It's so beautiful. 2 different screens with both of them.
Hi, Erin.
Save him from that couch, Mom.
Looking good, Erin, looking good. All right. So now we've got Angela Bottaluco from West Virginia, and then Tim from Pennsylvania will be next. So Angela, let's get you unmuted. Hey.
Hi. I kind of forgot what I was going to say now. That was so interesting, but I believe it was something on the lines, Art, you talked about the addicts with the integrity towards like letting go of their fear and insecurities with the parents. How do the parents get across that to the addicts? I guess is trying to, I mean, hers was so interesting, it got me off track on what I really wanted to say, so.
Okay, well, what you're talking about, you're wanting something from your addict.
Well, you had said something about, like the addicts need to have the integrity to say to us what their fears and their insecurities are.
No. Here's what I said. Let's be clear. When these guys, let's just give an example. One of these kids is here and they complain about their mother and father being the problem in their life. Okay. Now we're also talking about during sobriety. Okay. So we're not going to get this work done and make differences in our relationships while somebody's actively using drugs. So let's take that off the table.
Yeah.
So first of all, what I'm talking about is watching these kids complain about their mother, say their mother didn't do this or their father didn't do this when they were younger. And that seemed to they've been running out that story for years. Well, why are you an addict? Well, when I was 14, my dad left and went somewhere and got divorced. So now I'm an addict and that's because he did this to me and whatever. I was a victim when I'm 14 and I'm 28 now and I'm still talking about that. So then what I'm suggesting to the addicts is the reason that they won't face their folks and say that to their face is because of their fears and insecurities, because they're too scared to be the same person in front of me that they are in front of them. So then I see this mom and dad show up that they just got done complaining about and saying that they're effed up. And then what shows up in front of mom and dad is this smiling, good little girl or boy that wants cigarettes. And because they want cigarettes, they are nice. Oh, hi, dad. Now, to have integrity means you just got done talking about your dad. When he walks in the door, let him tell him. So either one of two things is going on. Either you don't even believe your own bullshit and you don't really have it in you to tell him that, or you just don't, you have too many fears and insecurities to be the truth. But as they grow as human beings and get power and stop bullshitting, and now if it's true, hey, dad, when I was 14 and you left, you really hurt me. And I don't know why you did that. I don't know why you went and got a new family and did whatever you did. So we need to talk. That's power and integrity. So that's what we're talking about. Okay. So when he comes to you and stops with the, you know, right now your son's probably using or probably doing whatever. And so it's all just bullshit. There's not going to be integrity.
Right.
But when he gets sober and he goes, hey, you know, what about your stuff, mom? I need to tell you about that. You know, what about your bullshit? Let's talk about that. Now, if it's actually bullshit, now you sit down and you go, okay, let's talk about my bullshit. Let's get it cleared up. Let's get complete with each other because I did do that and I did do that. And then humility would arrive and forgiveness could arrive. So two people with humility and forgiveness can go, let me look at what I've done and you look at what you've done.
Did we lose you?
No.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there, you know, that's it. And what we're talking about is the integrity to say how I feel about my boss, how I feel about my mother, how they feel about art, how they feel about their roommates, how they feel, to say that to the people that they're talking about rather than talking about them.
Right.
This is how I feel.
Is it
And, we
wrong?
don't, and this isn't a perfect circle. This isn't something that, this is work.
Right.
We do it with some people. We don't do it with everybody. We're working on it. We're working
Right.
on getting completion in our relationships.
Gotcha. Now,
Yeah.
is it wrong for like a parent to do that to their addict?
Well, until they're sober,
Yeah.
it ain't gonna do any good. You know, when they're sober and it's a mutual conversation and we're going back over this event and these events and we're calmly kind of with humility looking at it and saying, hey, yeah, I see that.
Mhm.
I see life was telling me to get better. But right now, Angela, that's the thing. Life is telling you to get better. It just is.
Right.
And then you can either complain and disagree or you can do it. And that's the work. Life is telling you that you have to get better with your son. It just is, you know? And I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying it's possible. I'm just saying it's the only course of action
Right.
is you getting better. There's not another one that makes any sense.
Right.
So there's you getting better and sitting with that pain and going, Jesus, really? I got to do something here, and taking away that overwhelming pain. And I know I know it sucks, and I know that, you know, if you could find a treatment center that would take you today, you'd go. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, that's what you should say to him. One of us has got to go to treatment. Which one do you
Right.
want? Yeah, which one do you think should go?
Mhm.
And then you give them a UA and they go, well, she's clean. You know, I don't think she should go. Well, yeah. Somebody's going to treatment though. Me or you.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm coming.
Yeah.
Thank-
Okay. Thanks, Angela.
Thank you.
All right, Tim.
Hi there.
Hey there.
How you doing?
Good,
Mark,
good. Good to see you back from Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania.
Yep,
Hey,
Pennsylvania.
Dad. Very good.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Art, how you doing?
Good.
Really enjoyed your talks, and felt like I've got pretty good idea of the program, and I've read a little bit about it before I even came on. Anyway, and I've heard a lot of good things about it. So Thank you for taking good care of Kaylee and helping her. My question is, what kind of coping mechanisms do you teach the kids there, the addicts there? Because someday they're going to be out in life again, and they're going to need those skills, those battle drills, as I call them. When I used to be in the military, we had a solution, a battle drill for every possible situation that could come up. So when you're in a situation, you're not thinking straight, and you have to have that muscle memory kick in. You have to have a way to cope with certain situations, so that you don't go back into some bad habits. So what kinds of things are you teaching them there to help them with that?
Well, I think it's first of all, it's all no external use. So if we can rule out anything external, and we can say that there's literally nothing available, we're not going to use another human. We're not going to count on another group of people to call on when we're in pain, although we might need to sometimes, but we're not going to use that as our first mode. We're not going to use gambling. We're not going to use drinking. We're not going to use any drugs of any sort. We're not going to use, and then getting all the way down to the number one pain reliever, what I'm teaching right now, the number one pain reliever in the entire world used by everyone is the complaint. The complaining is the number one pain reliever. And the complaining says, life is telling me to get better, but it's not my fault, and I disagree. And that relieves our pain. So complaining is the number one pain reliever. Now, if we can stop even that one, we've gotten somewhere. So what I'm suggesting is that it's all pain. It's all this moving forward, and then life telling us that we didn't do it right, or whatever it is, that it didn't go our way, difficulty, life didn't go our way, and then it's all through the breath. It's all sitting with it. It's all just sitting there and going, it's all acceptance. At that moment where I accept, there it is, pain gone. So it's all resistance to the way it is, resistance to the way it is, acceptance. So that's it. It's all breath, acceptance through the breath. Well, what was drug use? See, no matter what people say about using drugs or sex or gambling or smoking, every single one of those coping mechanisms, right after they did it, or even before they did it, they went, whether somebody takes a drink of alcohol, whether somebody goes and gets to their quiet place and works out at the gym, where somebody goes and has sex, where somebody goes and starts gambling, somebody smokes a cigarette, it's always the breath. So what happens is their mind gets into acceptance in some form, but they're using, it's not really, when they go gamble, do drugs, do anything, it's not acceptance, it's really just distraction. So we can have no distractions. We can't distract. I don't garden, I don't run, I don't work out, I don't do anything like that. Although I might do all those things, I don't use them to get to acceptance. What I use to get to acceptance of the way it is this. And I sit with that pain of how it feels. This is the way it is. There's nothing else. So if I can get there, and all pain, all difficulty is just that lack of acceptance. Pain is resistance to what is. That's it. Accept what is and don't suffer. So that's it. Accept what is, accept what is, accept what, I'm not accepting what is, breathe. Suffering gone. Accept what is. Move forward. Now, that being said, along that way, complaining will come up because we don't accept right away. We don't accept the traffic. We don't accept what our boss said right away. We don't accept. Now, hopefully they can leave it at the level of a little bit of complaining and not go to the casino and not go to the gambling and not go back to drugs and not go to sex and not have to use another person and all that kind of stuff. So that's what we teach is acceptance, to be honest. That's the coping mechanism. What else is there?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Anything else is just use. So if somebody goes, well, what I do is I go to the woods. Well, what if there's no woods?
Right.
What if you can't get to the woods? What I do is I go here. Well, what if you can't do it? What I go is I talk to Mike. Well, now you got to count on Mike. What I do is I call my sponsor. Well, I don't know about that. You can't count on that guy either. Nobody gives a shit. So yeah, hopefully we can get to just pure acceptance as a form of pain relief. Oh, does that answer that, Tim?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tim. Hey, Guy and Sherry Pennington, they have a question. Let's get you unmuted.
There we go.
Hey,
Thank
guys.
you. We were trying to figure out how to raise the hand thing, and I'm new to this whole
Texting
thing.
me was perfect. If there's anybody else out there struggling and you don't know how to get my attention, you can text me.
Yeah, I'm
Awesome. Hi, guys.
not a master at Zoom. So Angela asked a really good question earlier. And one of the things I know is that in my work, it's okay to not be right all the time. As a parent, there's a little bit of that risk in not being right. Do you, I mean, to me, it seems like I think it's okay to say, look, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm doing the very best I can. And I'm trying to raise a good human being, for, who will contribute to the world. But is that something that you have to wait to do until they're sober?
Well, I think that this is all boils down to this idea of when we have lost the right to parent and when we are still hanging on to whether we have that right or not. And I think that we at some point, we're not talking about an 8-year-old here. And an 8-year-old doesn't have the right to tell you that you're not the parent. We don't get any disagreements. And then that goes on to like an 11 and then 12 and then 13. And then at some age right now with this current group of adolescents, these 14, 15, 16-year-old kids that are smoking weed and doing everything they're doing, we have to regain our rapport before we can parent again. And so we have forgotten about the word rapport and we don't have it and we're still trying to parent. And when you're still trying to parent without rapport, you're going the wrong direction and you're just losing it. And now you're going to find yourself basically slamming your head against the wall on a daily basis. And so if you've got if you've gotten to the point where you've lost rapport, then let's get back to rapport first.
Okay.
Let's get to rapport first. And there could be massive reasons why we don't have rapport. It could be just that the person's high. You're not going to have a good rapport with anybody who's using drugs. So
Right.
we're not, it's not that. It's saying, hey, let's just look and see why we've lost our rapport, why we've lost. It could be tons of reasons. That same thing that a kid does when they go like it's like a stepdad. I remember I was always my parents when I was like 13, they got in this big fight and I was predicting divorce. And then because I was a kid and I was a little worrywart, I was predicting divorce. And then after I was predicting a new stepfather, and I'd already had my, what I was going to tell him when he became my stepfather. I was going to tell him, you're not my dad. I had that in the holster already. And so it's like a stepdad trying to parent that doesn't have any rapport. He needs to start with rapport. You can't just ram your head and just try to be that. I'm the person and you should respect me. Well, I know, but they don't. That's that kind of thing that we feel like without rapport, we feel like, and there's a lot of reasons we lose rapport. I mean, divorce costs us rapport. Our own drug use as parents can cost us rapport. Our yelling, our anger can cost us rapport. We could have our own gambling problem or our own problems that cost us rapport. So we have to look at rapport first before
Thank you.
before we move forward into being a parent again. Let's look at why they're not allowing us to be a parent. Because seriously, you're saying, that's the thing, right? You're saying completely logical shit that makes sense. And that's the slamming your head against the wall, is to say completely logical shit and have it make sense to you, and then have an alien look back at you and act like you're not even on the same planet. I mean, that's it's like, you could say something as clear as like, well, you don't want to do that because you'll mess up your credit. And then, then you're just like down a rabbit hole of why you're stupid, but clearly, don't do that because you can't write a bad check because the bank will never let you have a checkbook account. And then you say that, and then they just tell you how stupid you are. I know. Yeah. And we're dealing with the kids that, remember, I told you, they don't ask questions at school.
Yeah.
What kind of questions do you think they're going to have for you?
None.
I've got a lot of learning to here.
But right now, life's telling you need to be better for sure. I mean, he's a perfect avenue to tell you need to be better. And that's the humility to just go, yeah, we agree. We agree. We weren't equipped for this.
Yep.
Yeah. We didn't know they were going to legalize weed in Washington and condone it at schools. We didn't see that coming. And it's not even weed. It's like they're smoking mushrooms or some shit. It's like straight acid. Yeah, they're just taking acid. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys. Looking forward to seeing you guys again next week too. The Pennington started private coaching. So let me actually just take this opportunity to share with everybody that we have resumed private coaching. And I'll say, you know, private coaching with Art is, you know, a really powerful experience. He just has this ability to be able to peel through the layers of any person, no matter what you're dealing with, and be able to just really get down to the heart of the matter of things. Like Art doesn't fluff anything. He doesn't mess around. He just gets right to it, you know, and through his gentleness and his ability to be really straightforward and get to the point, he's really what I watch happen through private coaching sessions is really seeing things show up for people that they weren't able to see otherwise. You know, Art has a real gift to be able to articulate in a way and speak to a person from where they're sitting, and to allow something to really show up for somebody that you weren't able to see about yourself and your life otherwise. And it's really powerful. And like I said, he doesn't mess around. He doesn't fluff. He doesn't he gets right down to it. So I really encourage you guys, you know, reach out to me, share more with you, and reach out to me if you'd like more information about private coaching. But he does coaching with individuals, those who in recovery, family members, moms and dads, couples, marriages, all the above. So it doesn't even, it's gotten to a point where it doesn't even just pertain to addiction. It's everybody, all humans. And it's pretty powerful, and it's quite an honor to just be part of and be able to witness. And I can't encourage it enough. So reach out. I'd love to give you more information, and we'd love to work with you. So Sherry's giving the clap.
You can't say that.
What's that?
Yeah.
What'd you say that? She
She's clapping.
She was confirming. She was yes, I saw that. I saw it. Yeah. All right. So yeah, we've got 15 minutes left. Who's next? These are great questions tonight. It's really good to have the conversation going tonight. I love it. All right, I'm gonna scroll through the screens. I see Dennis Dahl in the house tonight. Very good. Good to see you back, Dennis. Awesome. Awesome. Oh, look at this little note here. Let me put you on spotlight so everybody can see, Dennis. Hi, Etty. Oh, I like it. Hi, Dennis. Good to see you.
Yes, hi, Andy. Good to see you too.
Hi.
And Art with the beard.
How do you like it, Dennis?
You're starting to look like me. I'm seeing a little gray in there, you know. So
No.
the more you shave it, the more you grow it, the grayer it gets.
It's called salt and pepper, my man.
Salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper.
Good to see you, Dennis. And the Santalias. Let's get you unmuted. Are we there? We're working on it. Let's see.
I got it.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Hi, guys. Pam and Dave.
I just have a question regarding the situation that we're going through right now. When you've got kids in there that persist in taking drugs and they get kicked out,
Mhm.
the next step, because we're going like in a vicious cycle right now. We've done this before.
Yeah.
Going to the Walk to Freedom
Mhm.
to get special counseling and try and get them back on the right road again. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Well, I don't know if we sent him, we just sent him to Walk to Freedom, not to get counseling. We sent him there to get the assessment. You need
Okay.
an assessment in Washington State with state insurance. You need a referral to the inpatient.
Okay.
So, part of this thing, Pam, is this dilemma. And the dilemma is we have a group of kids that has shifted, that addiction has shifted in America. And it's shifted to a point where what was called the progression slope that used to be somewhat gradual and somewhat a person started using drugs with a home, a car, a job, a family, and then this slope, they started slowly losing all those things.
Mhm.
And a person would get to be like 35 years old as an alcoholic, and they would realize they had lost everything. And they were at a place, and the place was known as bottom. That was the place. It was called
Right.
bottom. And they ended up like they were about to be homeless, but they're 35 years old and they'd never been homeless. So they came to this realization at that place that they had to quit using drugs and alcohol. So they went to treatment with this willingness to change. And what's happened now with the abundance of meth and the abundance of heroin and the age that have begun to do this, the entitled age of these youngsters that have started doing this, they don't understand the gravity of their situation. So they never reach a point where it becomes clear to them that they need to quit using drugs.
Right.
It doesn't happen. The streets allow for them.
Mhm.
The people in America that help people on the streets are enabling them. The
Mhm.
jails are now enabling by not keeping them long enough,
Mhm.
not making them stay there and get clean. And then, and if even if the jails would say, well, we want them to go to treatment instead, well, then help them get into treatment. Then
Mhm.
make it sure there's a smooth transition from treatment into, and don't put them back on the streets until the treatment bed's available. And so when we're dealing with somebody like your son,
Mhm.
he has not figured out that he can't use drugs.
All right.
And so every single place he goes just becomes another authority figure trying to stop him from using drugs while
Mhm.
he tries to use drugs. And we need him to hit some type of a bottom without dying. And
Right.
that's why, and even me, I don't know how to play the game properly with these kids because I put them out on Saturday night and spent all day Sunday looking for him. You
Right.
saw, right? So back in the day, you put an alcoholic out on the street on Saturday night, he goes away, and you say, call me when you're ready to get sober. They would be out there for a week or two, and they would call and be ready to get sober. That's just how it used to work. That
Yeah.
doesn't work anymore, you
No.
know? So now we're trying what we're generally just dealing with your
What?
son.
Chris.
Or Chris?
What we're dealing with Chris is to try to keep him alive
Mhm.
and balancing him hitting bottom and trying to keep him alive. That's
Yeah.
it. And then every place he goes, he becomes a danger to that place because he's fighting them to use drugs.
Right.
So we're just trying to find, and I found right now the safest place for Chris is either jail or state treatment.
Mhm.
Because state treatment, he will not be able to get drugs at least for 30 days.
Right.
And they're going to lock him down. And it's called, what it's just really called is a higher level of care.
Mhm.
And he needs to be in the highest level of care possible right now. And it needs to
Right.
have fences and walls, you
Mhm.
know? So that's what we're dealing with, Pam. And it's brutal. And there's tons of other parents that are dealing with the exact same thing. And it
Mhm.
all shows up when there's just it's too easy to get drugs.
Right.
They're too
It is.
accessible. They're too accessible. They're too
Yeah.
cheap. They're too easy. So these people are never reaching a financial bottom. And that's what it was. It used to be this financial bottom where they couldn't pay for their habit anymore. I had to quit. For me, I had to quit. I couldn't pay for my habit anymore. So I quit. It was
Mhm.
over. I couldn't fund it. These kids, they can just be here and then 5 minutes later be at the store and have drugs. And that's the culture right now with the meth and heroin in America. And so what
Right.
we're doing is we're trying to get Chris alive long enough for him to make it through this. Our
Right.
friend Bob Forrest, who used to do talks with us and still does, Bob Forrest used to say, keep them alive through their 20s. Keep them alive through their early 30s. They're going to wake up in their late 30s. And he would just say, keep them alive. And he would see kids and he would just say, stay alive until you're 35. If you do, you might make it. And that's just generally a dismal look at some of the addiction side of what's going on.
Right.
And I feel deeply for your parents because there's just no clear end in sight. And it's goddamn dominating and it's overwhelming. And there just doesn't seem to be a clear end because one, you can't have them in your house, but two, they can't make it on the streets.
All right.
And what do you do? And it's not just your house they can't be in, it's anyone's. They do the same thing in anyone's house. So what we're not doing is we're not even worried generally about Chris getting counseling. We're worried about him being in an institution right now. We want him in an institution.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. To be alive and to be in an institution and to maybe get the clarity to then get a treatment program applied to him.
Well,
but he's got an obsession.
From experience, it looks like we have more of a problem with the court system getting him into a facility than we do with like Battlefield.
Yeah.
Because they can't seem to navigate through the court system to get him into an in-treatment program.
So he's still in till, did he go to court today?
No, he won't go to court. Well, they're trying to get him in either Tuesday or Thursday. So we don't know what week it'll be, but because of COVID and everything and the way the courts are running right now, the victim's advocate said that it could be a while.
Okay, well, one thing, Pam, in this time, you should be sleeping and a little less concerned.
Yeah, I love the sound of that. I love the sound of more time.
I mean, you got what tonight, your son is safe.
Yeah.
Right. That's right. Well, we don't have Angie calling us.
Yeah, but don't rush him out of jail. Don't rush him out of jail. Who cares? Let him in there. Yeah.
The longer, the better.
Hey, Pam, I've been having literally the most difficult 3 months of my entire life, but I went and looked for your son on that Sunday.
Right.
And I spent 2 hours down. And when I spent those 2 hours down in Puyallup, I haven't been more worried about another human being in a long time.
No.
And I drove to Puyallup because I thought he might not be alive. And I was very, very concerned. And when they said he's in jail, when you said he was in jail, I cried and raised my hands and I was jumping for joy. And so you need to understand how much he needs to be in jail, and don't worry about getting him out and taking his phone calls and all the nonsense.
No, we're not.
We're not taking the phone calls.
Good. Well, sleep. Sleep about the dinner. Jesus. All right.
Okay, I'm gonna take your advice.
Okay, good.
Good.
All right.
Awesome, guys. All right, Dennis Stahl's got his hand up. Go ahead, Dennis. Can you?
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Did you
Where's my hand?
Pam,
That kind of goes through.
Pamela and Dave sparked a question for me.
Okay.
Actually, pretty much everybody. But see, so my daughter, she's still struggling. I thought she was clean up as of April the 8th, which turned out to be a joke. I think August 2nd, I found out that, she had relapsed. But my question now, I'm hearing that she's taking Suboxone, which the Suboxone strips. But the question, I guess, to Art is can you consider if a person gives up heroin in lieu of Suboxone or methadone or whatever the other drugs that are out there, is that a lifelong? Can that be a cure to the issue?
Well, Dennis, first of all, we don't even know. Where's Alexis at?
Well, she was living on Vashon Island. She's now staying with me tonight. She'll be moving in with a friend tomorrow, Wednesday, by the end of the week.
Yeah.
But so things have, kind of gone south again in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, I would say, Dennis, it doesn't matter what's going on. Those questions, that's not an answer. You're not ready for those answers yet, or even those concerns. More concerned I would be with getting the truth and figuring out where she's really at.
it's just not adding up. It doesn't add up that she comes there for a night and she's going to stay. I mean, how many, these kids are moving a lot, and what you'll never see is any moving boxes or a U-Haul or anything like that. And you got to be very concerned that that's not moving. That's just avoiding. So she's
Yeah.
avoiding the work. I'd really encourage you to like talk to Ange and more about this and get a plan together.
Yeah,
And
I might just do that.
Dennis, we started with a plan, Dennis, and we did the plan and it worked and we had some success. And then we went back to her plans and how we've been doing ever since we've been on her plans. You
Well,
see what I'm
she
saying?
failed. And,
Yeah.
I'd rather, talk to, I guess, I'll sign up to do the, if you're doing the, are you doing the one-on-one, the group?
Yes,
Where I
yes,
talk to both
yes.
you and Ann?
That's,
Please.
that's what I'd recommend.
Please,
Kinda like
'cause
starting-
Right.
we
But
got to
are
get
we
her off her plans right now before she gets hurt.
Yeah,
we're
we
doing
need
it-
a new plan from square one and a strategy. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just curious, are we doing it virtual or are we doing it face-to-face yet?
We're face
Well,
to
I'm in
face
Kent
now.
now. I'm in Kent.
Yeah, we're doing them at the house in Kent where you see Art at in the crew right now. That's where we're doing them. We're working
The
out of
big
there.
house?
No,
Is that,
no, it's
Oh.
a house in Kent that we're running a new recovery program at, and we're kind of have our office there too. So we're
okay,
doing
I'll have to touch
consultations and
base
whatnot
with you.
there now.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right,
Get
well,
a hold of Ange, Dennis.
Yeah, reach out to me tomorrow, Dennis. Let's connect and let's get you on the calendar. We can
all
get
right,
you
I'll
in
sign
pretty-
up.
Yeah, we can get you in pretty quick.
Okay, cool.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, Dennis. And Art, we're just a couple minutes away from wrapping up here. Is there any last minute questions anybody's dying? I'd love to take that if there was anybody left that has anything. Otherwise, we'll have Art wrap up. I don't see anybody.
You know,
Oh, hey,
And,
what's that? Somebody
ready?
said hi, Mom.
that was Cameron.
Cameron saying hi to Mom. Kyle's mom's on too. Sharon's here. Hey, Sharon. And Trevor's dad was on. That was great. And then, of course, Kaylee's dad's here. So really great to see all you guys. We're so excited. We're having a special family dinner on Friday night. The crew's having their family over and going to serve them dinner, and it's going to be great.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry you won't be able to come, Tim, darn it. But we'll be having a good dinner over here in Washington State.
You can come with us.
All right, go ahead, Art. You can wrap things up.
I think
Your family.
I think in the AA and community, and there's a saying they used to say, they say sharing our experience, strength, and hope. And I don't know about the strength and hope part, but this is what we're doing every week, is sharing our experience. And I want to, if it's of value to you and you see, and I hope it is, then that's it. You're coming on, and it's an honor to share our experience with you every week. And right now we're having this experience of difficulty in life and rebuilding and treating kids and walking them through that, and watching us walk through what we're walking through. And now we're talking about life, telling us that we need to get better. And then what happens when we disagree with our life and we begin to complain and lose our integrity, and we're this losing our power as it's seeping out with our complaints. We're losing our power to defeat the world or whatever it has to challenge us with. And for me, a long time, the challenges just weren't there. I wasn't very challenged. And then now it's just so grateful to be challenged by life again, and to see, because it's invigorating. I mean, I'm breathing more, and I'm healthier right now. And I'm like really, really into life and the experience of it. And so we're just really coming on here every week, and it's not hope and strength, and we're not here to give you hope or whatever. I don't really aspire to give you hope. I think hope is hopeless. And I think that we're here to actually just use our experience and articulate it in a way that it benefits you. And the experience of dealing with difficulties, the experience with dealing with suffering, the experience with dealing with addiction, and all of it's here every week. And I really, really love right now that we're getting back onto this. And tonight was a remarkable group because the questions were great and the questions were insightful. So I hope that you carry this message throughout the week about what you do when life tells you that you need to get better. What do you do? Do you agree? Do you agree when your family members tell you that you need to improve, or do you tell them how they need to improve? Do you agree when your boss tells you that you need to improve, or do you just blame your coworkers? What do you do? What do you do when your kid isn't getting better and the problem persists? Do you put it on yourself to get better, or do you think they should get better? And that's the question that we're going to have to face every day going forward in our life. And for me, it's a beautiful thing to sit and look at life and have it tell me to get better and agree with it. And I think that's the definition of, hopefully, when I agree with it, I'm humble, and when I don't, I'm righteous. And I got two ways to be, righteous or humble. And I think that I do both. I get really righteous, and then humility shows up, and I always want to have the answer. So I'm righteous and I say I know everything. And then when it doesn't go my way long enough, I finally admit that I didn't know anything. And that's only after after it beats me down enough that I can get humbled. So maybe tomorrow I can stay humble all day, and maybe I can't. But every time we do this every Tuesday, I get astounded and honored about how many people are coming on and enjoying the message. So I hope you take it this week. And once again, every week, it's an honor for me to be with you guys, and thank you.
Thank you, Art. That's beautiful. Thanks so much. And we'll see all of you guys next week. If you aren't already on our text reminder list, shoot me a text. If you didn't receive a text today, shoot me a text and let me know, and I'll put you on. We'll see you next week, you guys. Good night.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
I love you, Arthur.
We love you guys.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Aaron and Mark.
Good night. Good night.